Hi friends, it's October 9th today, and it should be very cool and comfortable all day. However, while I was walking to my office this morning, I saw a chaos at a road maintenance site. A worker at about 50 fainted out due to heat stress. Actually, those outdoor workers, they face the risk of heat stress every day, which may cause death. And unfortunately, due to climate change, the number of hot days are becoming more and more frequent and persistent these days. Actually, I feel a little bit ashamed staying in this cool and comfortable room equipped with air conditioning, which generates a lot of greenhouse gases. They contribute to climate change, and finally, they harm someone who I don't know. So what is the culprit? Greenhouse gases. They trap the heat inside the atmosphere and heat up our Earth. And carbon dioxide is the biggest contributor to greenhouse gas. So how can we reduce the amount of greenhouse gas or carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? So there are two ways. We can either reduce the generation or we can increase the uptake. You have heard a lot about those environmental advocates that suggest a really low carbon lifestyle. This suggests using less air conditioning, travel as little as possible, and even go vegetarian. Yes, you're right. The production of meat can generate a lot of greenhouse gases. But you may not want to sacrifice your next trip to watch your favorite NBA team. You may not want to endure the bad air quality in a room without air conditioning. And certainly, you cannot resist the big temptation of a Big Mac. So what can we do? We can try to increase the uptake. Nowadays, the uptakes are done by only natural ways. For example, the green plants can take in the carbon dioxide through the process called photosynthesis. But it is not enough. So if natural way is not enough, what else can we do? You may ask, is there an artificial way to take up the carbon dioxide? Yes, the answer is yes. So today, let me introduce our star of today, carbon sequestration technology. Hi, my little friends. You have just heard me say, right? You do not want to sacrifice your little burgers. Isn't that true? So maybe carbon sequestration technology can help you. Don't worry, let's break down this term to see what it is. So first of all, what is sequestration? I believe you must have the experience of playing with your toy when you are expected to be studying. So at this time, your parent or a teacher will come to take away, or will say, sequester your toy. They take away or sequester your toy because they think it is harmful to your study or grades. And similarly, we want to sequester the carbon dioxide in the air because it is harmful to our Mother Earth. So you may ask, what is carbon dioxide? This is our next question. Carbon dioxide is a kind of gas. It is everywhere around us. The cars can give out carbon dioxide, the air conditioning can give out carbon dioxide, and you know what? Even if when you breathe out, you are giving out carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide are those little devils everywhere surrounding us in our atmosphere and doing harm to our Mother Earth. But don't worry, we have carbon sequestration technology. It is our police officer. They can capture those little devils and send them back to their underground jail. And this way, it can protect our Mother Earth. So, isn't this technology magnificent? Hi, my friends. I think you have all been familiar with carbon cycle and carbon flux in your high school courses, isn't it? So, what is carbon cycle? Carbon cycle is composed of two parts, carbon production and carbon absorption. So we know those industrial processes, transportation can generate a huge amount of carbon dioxide, and it can be absorbed by the green plants via the process called photosynthesis. But this amount of absorption is almost nothing compared to what we have produced. So how can we deal with this huge gap? There are two methods right now. The first method, we can refer to the natural carbon sequestration process. We can try to speed up these processes. So what are they? The first one is called terrestrial carbon sequestration. It is performed by the green plants via the process called photosynthesis. The second process is called oceanic carbon sequestration. It's performed by our water bodies, for example, oceans and rivers, to dissolve the free gaseous carbon dioxide in the air. But today, I want to introduce to you a third pathway called geologic carbon sequestration. So it is a totally artificial way of capturing the free carbon dioxide in the air and inject them into the underground holes to store them. Yes, you are right. Our Earth is not that solid as it looks on the surface. So this technology is really useful in eliminating the free gaseous carbon dioxide in the air. Oh, I think you have heard of the recent story of a 15-year-old Swedish girl called Greta. She cut her classes in order to fight against climate crisis. If this technology is mature enough to address climate change issue, this girl, Greta, doesn't have to be irritated or frustrated about climate change, and she can finish her education smoothly and successfully as you guys have all done. Hi, my friends. I think you have heard a lot about carbon cycle and carbon flux in your undergraduate studies. Yes, we all know that burning coal and oil, the fossil fuels, can transform the solid state and liquid state carbon into their gaseous state, which is carbon dioxide. And the reverse processes can be done by two processes. The first one is terrestrial carbon sequestration, done by vegetation. And the second process is called oceanic carbon sequestration, done by water bodies like ocean. But today, I want to introduce you the third pathway, which is called geologic carbon sequestration. So you can see these three arrows here. So what we're doing here is we artificially capture the carbon dioxide in the air and inject them into the underground reservoirs. So what are these reservoirs? The first reservoir can be empty coal and oil reservoir. The second one can be the formations containing saline water. And the third one can be unused coal bed. But none of these three deposits is perfect. So the empty coal and oil reservoirs, they are sealed securely and naturally. But there are not too many empty coal and oil reservoirs in our Earth, so their storage capacity can be really small and limited. And on the contrary, we have a lot of formations containing saline water underground, but they are not safe because they are not sealed naturally and properly. So what about unused coal bed? It is a convenient way to inject carbon dioxide, but we are compromising their future potential to be exploited. So if we inject carbon dioxide into unused coal bed, this amount of coal cannot be used anymore in the future. And also, we need to consider how to select a combination of the three deposits when we want to use this carbon sequestration technology. Hi, it's happy to know that nowadays more and more people are becoming interested in carbon sequestration technology. And as you all know, carbon sequestration technology is a technology where we capture the free gaseous carbon dioxide in the air and inject them back into the underground reservoirs. However, we all know that this technology recently is not mature enough to be applied on a large scale efficiently. So there are constraints from mainly two parts. The first part is technical constraint. You all know that it is very hard to capture the free gases carbon dioxide out from the atmosphere. And the recent technology is very costly and expensive. And also, our R&D process right now is not fast enough. According to a recent study, we cannot apply carbon sequestration technology on a large scale until the end of this century, which may be too late to address the climate change issue. And also, there are constraints from the policymaking part. Some government officials, they are reluctant to allocate money to this project because they think it is too expensive and costly. And also, there is the public opposition called "Not in my backyard." So people know that this is a good technology, it can address climate change, but they're afraid of the side effects. So they don't want this technology to be implemented somewhere next to their neighborhood. So what is the next step to achieve this bright future of carbon neutralization? We need to expand and speed up our R&D process. We need to lobby the government officials to allocate more money and funding to the project. And also, we have to address the public concern of "not in my backyard." So in conclusion, I want to give you all an analogy of carbon sequestration technology to a bank account. So if you imagine the underground reservoir to be your bank account, it is always easy to overspend, which is equivalent to burning fossil fuels. And it is always very hard to capture and deposit the carbon dioxide back into the reservoir, just like it is very hard to deposit and save money into a bank account. However, we must find out a way. We must try our best to try to capture and store as much carbon dioxide as possible into the underground reservoir, just like we should try our best to deposit and save as much money as possible into our bank account. I'm not saying that carbon sequestration technology itself can address a climate change issue, but definitely it is a very valuable addition to the current technologies on stage. And also, I'm 100% sure that its marginal benefit will be substantial once it can be applied on a large scale.